Hey guys, it's been a while since I've done a video because I've been really busy here lately. Ain't had time to get in the old shop, but I'm back at another project again today, and what I'm going to be doing is going to be kind of hard to explain. I guess you'll pick up on it as I go along, but I'm going to be attempting to build I guess you call it a speaker box that you can put your iPhone, Android, or any smartphone that you've got your music on. You dock it down inside of the box and let the music or whatever the sound from your phone, it's going to run through the box through two holes that's going to look like speakers, but it's just going to be blank holes. In other words, it's just going to amplify the volume coming from your phone. Something nice to where if you want to listen to your music when you're cleaning the house or you're outside or whatever you want to do, and you don't want to have to drag out a power cord or a Bluetooth speaker or something like that. So I've never built one before, and I've just seen some pictures of it online. Like everything else that I try to build, I mainly go by the picture, so I really don't know what it's going to sound like until I build it. So we're going to go ahead and get started with it, and hopefully the video, as we go along, it'll start making more sense as we go. So stay tuned. Okay, this is the lumber list. It's really not a whole lot of lumber to this project. So in a nutshell, what I did is I went ahead and bought all of it pretty much already cut to size. If you was to build a bunch of these, like I'll probably end up doing, I'll buy the lumber and then rip these things on my table saw, and I'll make it myself, probably cut the cost in half. But basically what you're looking at here cost me $8.88 after tax at my local Lowe's. This is just a piece of pine. It's 6 inches wide, ½ inch thick, and it's 24 inches long, so it's 2 foot long. I'm gonna cut this one directly in half, so I'm gonna have two 12-inch pieces on here. This is a 3/4 by 3/4 inch dowel rod that's 36 inches long, so it's 3 feet long, and I'm gonna probably need 2 of these, so I just went ahead and bought 2 of them. But you've got a table saw, you could buy a 3/4 inch piece of wood and rip these all day long and make you a whole lot more, because I think these was like $2 and something a piece. So anyhow, like I said, it's a way to save money, but I was lazy today and I didn't feel like digging all that stuff out. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started on it, and like I said earlier, I hope this, as the project goes along, it'll make more sense. Okay, basically what I've done now is just, ignore this stupid little sticker here, but I took, before I cut these so I don't ruin them, I took and I laid this down and flushed it with the bottom edge and just took my pencil and scribed a line as a reference point. I know here, if you can see this, I need a ½ inch of air space right here, so nothing is going to go here. Now I got to find out the distance of dropping the phone down so I know how far to bring it. So once I made this, what I did was I went for my first reference line and measured up a ½ inch, and I did it in the middle and on each end. Then I just laid this piece of wood here and scribed me another reference line, and I went ahead and did it on both sides because this is the thickness of the wood that I'm going to use. So I drew a line on this side, then drew a line on this side. So now I know that I'm going to have a piece of this 3/4 inch wood. It's going to be here, and I'm going to have it here, because basically, in a nutshell, the iPhone is going to sit on that wood there. So I'm going to center the iPhone up, and I'm going to measure both sides and get it close to center as I can get it. And then I'm going to have to take and go on my bandsaw, and I'll make a line here on each side, and I'm going to go on my bandsaw and cut this slot out for the iPhone. Alright, so I got this basically centered. What I'm doing now is I'm going to measure, and I have 4 3/8 on this side. Try to work around this camera. And I've got 4 3/8 on this side here also. So now I know that my phone is center. So all I'm going to do, this piece here is the back piece. I'm not going to cut anything out of that. I'm actually going to cut out of this one where I have to drill my 2 holes for the sound. But I am going to take and I'm going to mark it on both sides just to have a little bit of a reference. Like I said, I don't really have any measurements to go by. I'm just trying to do this as I go, and I'll write them down as I go. So now I have my reference. I'm going to go ahead and do the bottom as well. But I have my reference points of where I know I need to put the pieces of wood for the iPhone to fit in it and not be obstructed. So I went ahead and cut these at 4 1/4 inches. So basically, this one's going to sit up here, flush with the outer edge and the top. This one's going to sit here, flush, just like the other. Alright, what I went ahead and given myself a little bit more wiggle room, because if I ever change iPhone case, some iPhone cases are bigger than the other ones, so that's not that big of a deal. So now, to get my measurement to do the pieces, I'm going to run here and here. I got that wood there, so what I'll do, this line that I drew, this is actually going to be, let me grab this scrap piece. like I said earlier, this is where this piece is going to sit. So if you wanted to lay that there to get your measurement between here and here, you can. But I'm just going to go by the line. So I'm going to hold this down tight and I'll measure it. Once again, trying to work around the camera. And it looks like it's going to be 2 5/8. Let me spin this thing where I can see so I don't screw up on my cut. Let me get it flush again. Look like 2 5/8 on the fat side on the cut. So now what I'll do is I'll cut 2 more of these at 2 5/8, and they're going to run parallel like this. And like I said, fat is if my line's right here, I'm going to cut on the outside of the line. So let me get them cut and I'll be right back. I got these 2 pieces cut, so now they're going to run, which I'm going to have to knock off all the burrs and stuff off of it. I'll do that after I make sure I get all my cuts right. But they're going to run like this. This one's got them too. Alright, turn that sticker to the outside. So basically they're going to run like this, and if you're getting a better sight picture now, your iPhone is going to sit like this. Is going to be the I don't know what you want to call it, but this is where the sound's going to travel between the 2 boards to come out of the speakers through here. So now the complicated part is, depending on your phone, which on my iPhone, if you look on the bottom, I don't know if you can see that, this is the side that my speaker's on. It don't run across the whole bottom, it runs here. So with this in the slot, now I'm going to cut the wood. Get that lined up, y'all just bear with me because these pieces are laying loose. So now I'm going to cut the wood to where when I run this piece, this one's going to have to stop about right here because I don't want to block this. I don't want to block the speaker port. And then this one, if I can do this, I'm going to have to move the camera. And then this one will probably run up to about right here. So I'm going to leave that little bit of a spot for the speaker so the sound will come through the channel down to the open spot, radiate over here, and that way the sound will build up here and then come out of the holes that I'm going to drill in the top board. So that's a biggie. Look at your phone. If you build one of these, you'll have to build it to fit your phone. Depending on where your speaker is, you don't want to put the opening here if your speaker's on this side, or you're going to be blocking the sound. It's just going to be coming right back out of the slot that you cut for your phone. So I'm going to go ahead and try to figure these measurements out, and I'll be right back. Okay, what I'm going to do to get my measurements, I'm sure there's some master carpenters out there that's going to watch this video and laugh at me, but you know what? I don't care. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to line this piece up that I got to cut. I already done it, as you can see. Line it up to where it don't block the speaker, and I made me a mark. And then the other end, I come right here, I line it up to the other side of the speaker port on my phone to where I know it's not blocking it, and I made me another mark right here. So now I'm going to cut this on the table on the chop saw. I'm going to cut this one off for this side and do the same thing for the other side, and then that way I don't have to worry about guessing my measurements and recutting and all that junk. So let me get them cut and I'll be right back. Now that I have these cut, here's this side. So it's going to sit like that somewhat, and then that one's going to sit like that. And like I said before, which none of this is anchored down, so yeah, I know it's not straight and all that. So basically, in a nutshell, this is going to be the channel to where the sound comes through the speaker. Use a pencil. Where the sound's going to come through the speaker, and it's going to hit this part, and then it's going to radiate up through here to come out of the ports. So now all I got left to do is on this end, I got to cut one to come all the way down to the bottom. I got to cut a strip to come across here. And then I'm just going to cut 2 to match it up to where all this will be completely framed in. This cut right here, I've already made my mark. It's actually going to be, from here to here, is actually going to be 4 inches thin. So what that means is, here's my mark. I'm actually going to cut directly on the line. That way to make it match up perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and get 2 of these cut, and then it'll start coming together for you. Okay, so basically this is what we're going for, is, which I'm going to have to take these over here to my sanding disc, and I'm going to knock all these burrs off so these things will fit nice and square with each other. But basically this is what we're going for, is this is the backstop. I didn't cut anything off of this 12-inch piece of wood here. I've got all these 3/4 inch pieces coming around here, and like I said before, the speaker is here. The sound is going to come through here, and it's going to radiate through this open channel, which is a 1/2 inch thick, and it's going to come and bounce around through here, and then it's going to come out. This piece right here, I'm going to take a hole saw and I'm going to cut 2 holes in it, and I'm going to cut a slot for the phone so you can see the front of the phone. But once I do that, I'm going to glue all these, and then just, you can use clamps, but I'm going to glue them and I'm going to tack them with brad so it'll stay, because I like to do everything in a hurry. And then once I get this piece cut, it's just going to sandwich directly over top of it like this right here. So now I'm going to go ahead and clean off all these extra little burrs that you can see. I'm going to run them over on my sander real quick, get all of them good and clean and squared off, and get the glue out, the brad gun, and get this stuff anchored down. So I got all this anchored down. So here's what the back looks like, and this is what the inside is going to look like. So basically, like I said, I made the slot a little longer, but basically cut that off. When you set your phone here, my speaker port's right there, so the sound's supposedly going to run through here and radiate on both sides, then come out of the box. So now I'm going to go ahead and work on the lid. I did glue all these, and as you can see, I shot them with a heck of a lot of brads, but I didn't feel like waiting for the clamps to let the glue set, so I used the brads for that so I can keep rolling. But I did wipe out all the squeeze out the best I could, so I wouldn't have none of that in the way. So now I'm going to work on the lid, and we'll get going with that. Alright, so now I need to cut the slot for the phone here. So what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to line this piece up with this one. I'm going to kind of cheat a little bit, and then I'm going to make a mark here and here with the opening. That way I know how wide that I'm going to go, and I know it's going to be center of this board because it's flush on both ends here. And I'm actually going to come down maybe 2.5 or probably 2 5/8 inches to cut deep, because when I put the phone in here, I want this piece where you would push the button here where the home screen is, I want that piece to be covered by wood so to help the sound run down instead of coming back out at you. I got my slot cut, or marked rather, so now I'm going to run it over to my bandsaw, and I'm just going to go ahead and cut this slot out real quick. My board here is actually, it's a 6-inch board, but it's actually 5.5 inches wide. So what I did is I came down half of 5.5 is 2 3/4, so I made a mark. And then I've got 4 1/4, but it looks like 2 1/8 is where it's going to make it look more dead center. So I measured the halfway point of this, and then went from the outer edge, was the factory straight edge, and I measured in 2 1/8 and made a dot. So I did this on here, and I did it on this side. Right there's my little dot. So I'm going to go ahead and drill a little starter bit, take a drill bit into a starter hole, that way I can get my hole saw. This is a 2 1/8 inch hole saw, so I'm going to go ahead and do that and get the holes drilled on the facing. I got my 2 starter holes drilled, and of course I got just an old scrap piece of lumber there so it don't go all the way through into my table. And now, like I said, I'm going to take the 2 1/8 inch hole saw bit and go ahead and drill these out. Now I've got my 2 holes drilled, and I'm going to take these over to my disc sander and knock this off. And I might get a router just for cosmetic reasons, and I might route the edge and just do a little round over on both sides to make this look more appealing. Alright, so as you can see, I got that rounded over. I went ahead and done both sides. Not much to it, but it makes it smoother and gives it just a little bit more appeal. So now all I have left to do, I got dust everywhere I need to clean off, but I'm going to go ahead and run a bead of glue all the way around this outer edge, and then I'm going to place this on top like so, and then that's going to be the front. And this is what your box is going to look like, and the cell phone will sit in here just like this. So I'm going to go ahead and get the glue on it, and then this part, just for the sake of not seeing the brads, I'll probably glue this and just go ahead and clamp it down so you won't see none of the brass. That way it'll be clean on both sides. Okay, so I did tell a lie. I'm very impatient, and this is the first one I built, so I did go ahead and shoot it with brads. I had the clamps on it, but I didn't feel like waiting for a while for it to dry. But if I do another one or do some for some other people, I will clamp it and give it ample time to dry where you don't see all these brads. But I'm just curious to see how this thing's gonna sound. So basically that's it in a nutshell. That's the front, the back, and you can see where everything is kind of sandwiched together. And I did sand all the edges. And then the inside. So that's where your phone will go in, and that's the little hole that I kept talking about to where the speaker is going to go in, and that's where the sound is going to go through. So the wonderful world of YouTube, if I put a common song up where everybody can see it, they're going to flag me for it for copyright infringement. So I'm going to try to find some sort of a stupid song or something that's not copyrighted, and then you can hear the difference. But I'm going to go ahead and try it now and see how she does.